Hi there. In this Sage Business Cloud video, we'll quickly look at reports, some of the settings that we can change, printing checks, and what happens when we start working in a new year. So I'm going to choose reporting, profit and loss. I'll go with a standard. When you choose reporting, profit and loss standard, and this month custom, and I'm going to be looking at 2017. So 1/1/17, 12/31/17. I'll choose calculate, and shows me all of my sales, direct expenses, as well as my expenses. So that's the profit and loss. Another one is the trial balance. So reporting, trial balance. And I'll look at it at the end of 2017. And of course everything balances. And that is my assets, liabilities, revenue, expense, capital. And we'll also look at the balance sheet. Again, this is added an as of date. So I'll look at the end of the year, 2017 again. And notice that we have net profit and loss for the current year. I'll quickly export this as a PDF as well. So if we wish to share it, again, PDF is a common format. Everybody will be able to view that. There's some settings that we can quickly look at here. Some I won't change. They're usually good stock, and some I will. So I'll choose settings, record and transaction settings. So notice we have days before invoices are overdue, defaults to 30, aging periods for reports. These are generally left at the stock. Those are good values there. These are the default ledger accounts. Carriage ledger account, freight revenue. Again, aging periods and invoices due that we can change if we like. And then all of the accounts that are linked to various transactions. Again, we can specify different ones if we like. I don't change anything there. We can add more price levels. So if we wish to charge different categories of customers different prices, you can add them there. 3 is fine for me for now. Some default accounts, we can override these when we create our products. and where we show the retained earnings account. So I'm not going to change anything there. I'm just going to go back to settings, and we'll look at one thing I do like to change. Is the navigation data grids. Generally, you get a list of 10 records whenever you look at some lists of transactions. I like to see 100. We get to choose our time zone. I'm in Vancouver, so I'll choose Pacific time. And if you want the getting started panel, you can turn that off and on. I'll just choose save. We'll look at check printing settings. So we can choose our language of our pre-printed check stock. So when we print checks, it's actually printed on pre-print stock that we can order from Sage 50. And if you click on print setup, it gives you a test check that you can print on that stock to make sure everything lines up. Generally, you don't have to do much adjustment here. So that's what that's for. And I'm just going to cancel that, not changing anything there. And one more for financial settings. I'm going to quickly specify some things about our fiscal year. So year end date. So my year end date is the end of the year. Year end lockdown. This is I want to disallow any transactions before this date. So this will be the last day in the previous year. 2016. Account start date. This is when we switch from the previous accounting system. So these, the data that I have here, I imported from Sage 50 desktop, and we started entering our transactions on March 1st. Everything else was already entered in the previous accounting system. And the tax year is January. Our retention period, I'm going to use 6 years. And if you change that, let me just change that to 7. It asks for a reason. I'm just going to say 1 year past CRA's requirement. And I'll choose save. And I'll choose yes. Now let's take a look at what happens with our data when we jump from year to year. So I'm going to take a look at my profit and loss report for 2017 and then 2018. So profit and loss standard and custom 2017. That's what we're looking at presently. So you notice we have amounts in there. And then if I change that to 18, best if you tab from that field, otherwise it's sometimes fiddly. So that's 1/1/18. And 1/1/18. Notice everything is 0. So all of the expense accounts get closed into the revenue accounts to give us our net income. Now let's take a look at the balance sheet as well. So I'm going to go back to reporting, balance sheet report. And 12/31/2017, we see our net profit and loss. If I click on the little triangle there, current year 64.56.55, and if I change this to 18, we now have a current and prior year. So basically we're not required to actually use a command to advance the year. Once we start working the new year, the calculations will be done automatically. Let's quickly look at printing checks to finish off. So to print a check, you choose banking, and again remember that we're printing on preprints that we get from Sage 50. Go to the check register, and I'll choose the checking account that I use. And I've got a couple of checks there. I'll just take a look at this one. I'll choose print check. Ask for a check number. So the check number is already pre-populated on the check stock. So that's what it's asking for, the number that we have on the stock. So I'll just say it's 01 or something like that. And then I'll choose print check. And this is what it looks like. So again, all of your banking information and the check number, all of that stuff would come from the stock. That's something that you tell Sage 50 when you order it, the banking information. And I'll choose all done. And then I'll go to one of these other checks and I'll issue manually. So this is basically what's happening here. Again, it wants the number from the stock because we're using the same stock that we have so that our check numbers continue on, and then we're just like actually writing our information on that. So we just issue manually. So that's basically reporting, changing our settings, printing checks, and starting a new fiscal year. Thanks so much for watching.